Hello and welcome to Redlines. This is the program that seeks to analyze the fault lines in our relationships, the fault lines in our businesses, the fault lines in our interpersonal relationship, even at the workplace. What are the red lines to look out for? And today we're looking at a very critical topic that's been trending, not just rape alone, but gender-based violence as well. And I have people, very erudite speakers in the studio to speak with me, in the person of Lemmy Ughebe, the founder of Make a Difference Initiative and the convener of Men Against Rape. Finally, we have a man speaking for us. Welcome to the program.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And seated next to him, as usual, is Josie, my co-presenter. Josie Toya.
Always a pleasure to be here.
So let me let you start the ball rolling.
Yeah, honestly, what got me clapping is, you mean in the heat of this, we could actually have men dedicated to ending rape? Let me please tell us the story. How did you get to the point where you now have to come and boldly stand against rape, represent women? Because when the word rape goes out, the first thing you think is a woman or a little girl being victimized. And of course, every man
We're usually the victims.
We're usually the victims. So people just believe, of course, it's the woman again. And getting men to admit that they actually assaulting the female gender has been a tug of war. I know how to almost exchange law. Let me just say that's exaggerated. When the Chibok girls were collected and all of that, somebody was saying, I believe it's usual and the ladies may have invited them and all of that. And I was like, anytime that word rape comes, the first thing some guys do is to be defensive. So let me tell you, how did you not decide to fight this fight with women?
Well, let's say that, any society that conspires to deprive, subjugate, rape, violate, and subdue women and children, especially the girl child, is a society not willing to make progress and secure its future. The women and the girls especially, including of course the boys, but particularly more interest because statistics have shown us that the females are more at the receiving end.
That's true.
The United Nations report, UNICEF report of 2015, which needs to be updated because really the statistic is even more startling now. Well, if we go by the UNICEF report of 2015, it says that 1 out of every 10 boys get violated before their 18th birthday, while 4 out of every 10 girls get violated before their 18th birthday. What that really means, and I'm saying in Nigeria, not anywhere else, 1 out of every 10 boys gets violated, 4 out of every 10 girls get violated before their 18th birthday. If you go by that statistic, it should worry you. Because again, if we take it that we're a population of 200 million, and we just do a rough estimate that 50% males, 50% female, the danger in it now is that if that means we have 100 million men, 100 million women. Now, if 1 out of every 10 boys get violated at 18, it simply means that 10% of the male population of 100 million. That means 10 million. Why, if it is 4 out of every 10 girls, it means about 40 million girls get to suffer that. If you put that statistics together, we are saying that 50%, that's 40 year, 10 year, that's 50 million. That means 25% of our population would have suffered one level of sexual violence before their 18th birthday. And what does that leave you with? It leaves you with a society of people who are suffering from grave psychosocial consequences. That will endanger them and endanger others. Because people talk about survivors when we discuss issues of sexual and gender-based violence. But are the survivors really surviving? They refer to those who are dead as victims, but they refer to these ones who are surviving as survivors. Yes, but we do not have a support system. We don't have psychological therapeutic system put in place to even help survivors. We've seen cases. I particularly have a friend who is 40 years old now. She was 19 years old when she was raped. How did it happen? Robbers came to her house, her family house. They were cutting away things. When they got to a point they wanted to rape her mother, she didn't know robbers were in the house. She was coming down the stairs and wearing a nightgown, of course, see-through. And the robbers, okay, the mother said, I am in my monthly circle.
Yeah.
So if you want to rape me like that, fine. They now saw the daughter coming down at 19 and say, oh, wow, okay, we have a replacement. So they pounced on her and made her father watch while they raped her, took turns to rape her. Sadly, that happened when she was 19. 21 years after, she cannot hold down a relationship. And I don't mean sexual relationship. She cannot trust me or you enough as friends.
Oh my God.
She's suspicious of everybody. She's very withdrawn.
Oh my God.
Today she comes out, you see her looking happy. She disappears again. You keep calling her, she hardly picks the call. When she does, you see that her voice is drowned with maybe alcohol or drugs, you can't tell, and she's depressed. You would hear her just talking gibberish. She's not.
Oh my God.
And she's 40. It happened at 19. She couldn't really get the kind of help. Yes, the love and support of family may not be enough. There needs to be centers, okay, sexual assault centers. Thankfully, a few centers are emerging, more centers are emerging, that will help such a person. So the consequence of sexual abuse or sexual and gender-based violence is such that even that person can become a victimizer of others. A lot of serial killers do not wake up and become serial killers. If you dig deep and investigate their background, you'll find that they've been into one form of abuse or the other, and they grew up. Some grew up hating women. A man was talking, he's in his 40s, almost 50, and was talking in a forum where we had a discussion like this, and he said he cannot have respect for women. As a matter of fact, he hates women. And what's the story? The father's sisters, his aunts, when he was 5 years old, were already using him as a toy.
Oh my God.
They were abusing him, and he has never been able. He's about 49. He doesn't have a relationship. He does not have a family, nothing. So you end up, if we go by the statistics, you end up having at least 25% of people who are sick, who are depressed, who have serious, grave psychosocial problems. And there is a need to arrest these statistics because it's worsening by the day. Yeah. During the lockdown, the first few months, the IG said 717 cases of gender-based violence had occurred. And that is for the reported cases. For every 10 reported cases, there are more than 50 that go unreported. Yeah. Because again, society keeps them hush. Society frowns at a woman who says, my husband has had carnal knowledge of my daughter.
It's crazy.
Society will criminalize her. And now it seems abusing the other person is the normal, the new normal. You who is fighting against it are the one who is made to feel abnormal. And it takes me to the case of a 17-year-old, of a 35-year-old man who on April 17, we got intel on him that he had raped his daughter of 4 years. And quickly we went to the scene. He had disappeared. We laid siege that midnight. We arrested him. But before we would do that, we made sure that we first of all called the attention of the police, because they should be the first line of responders. Yes. But there was some reluctance and all, and I reached quickly to our partner, NAPTIP, National Agency on the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, and immediately they said, please, can you get the child immediately? And we took the 4-year-old child to them. They debriefed the child and the mother, and we went to police hospital in Area 1 with NAPTIP officials. They did the test and they certified that the father had really defiled the daughter. Of course, that case has been charged to court as we speak. Unfortunately, again, the law allows the person to be granted bail.
You can imagine.
So we need to strengthen our laws. We need to strengthen it to make sure that once you are accused of this, until
Yes.
a certain point, you cannot walk freely.
Okay.
I think there's a leniency in the system, the legal system.
But, okay, two things. Now, that begs the question that people never really survive sexual abuses, whatever the intensity. Because I know if his lawyer is here and I start telling you that there's difference between going all the way and even continuously probing somebody, these are all sexual. And then there's another evil, the family side. There are a lot of family that actually hush these issues. You're going to report your father. He's our brother. You keep it in the family. Now, I think we need another level of sensitization. Look, it's not a family thing. Because the African traditions seem to actually... Yeah, you want to say something? No. How much have you been able to deal with that? It's a family thing. You don't go out. You don't... How can you say your father? Like you rightly said, imagine a woman saying, my husband is raping my daughter. First, she sees herself as being failed as a wife. Because the first thing they will say is, they give the man.
Or failed as a mother.
Or failed as a mother, which is a double strike for any woman. So is your group doing anything about this family side of,
Yes, you cannot even do enough. There's so much work to be done. There is the whole issue of the tyranny of religion, culture, societal norms, and even the laws. There's a conspiracy of all those factors that really makes it almost impossible for people to speak out and speak up about it. For instance, the woman who raised the alarm that the husband had raped their 4-year-old daughter, the consequence is that she loses her marriage.
Oh, naturally.
The consequence, as I know, is that family of the husband start threatening her.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And this is a woman who was fully dependent on the man. So part of the reason to, and that's why we say women, no matter how much you love your partner, acquire a life skill. Acquire a life skill so that you don't feel totally helpless when situations like this occur. You must go, you address it through traditional institutions, through faith-based organizations, through the youths, okay? Then do a lot of advocacy and all in terms of recruiting behavior change communicators, development communicators, to go into the, not just the city center, the grassroots, to have this kind of interactions. Some people don't even know rape is rape.
All right, we need to go on a short break and we'll be right back. Redlines will continue.
It's a taboo in Africa. It's a taboo to the human race.
And of course, we talked about the health implications.
Why the sudden increase in the rate of suicide in Nigeria? Welcome back. The conversation is still on rape and we are talking red lines. What are the red lines that we should look for as a society? And we have the founder of Make a Difference Initiative, Lemmy Ughebe. You've been talking so much. So what are the laws protecting the children and victims of rape?
Okay.
And the survivors, now that you've explained that survivors are still victims, they've not really...
The family love is not enough.
Yes.
There's so much that really needs to be done. At the federal level, there's been some milestones, some good progress.
Okay.
We have the VAP Act, the Violence Against People's Prohibition Act, and we have the Child Rights Act.
Okay.
Now, the contradiction in our laws are amazing. In the Child Rights Act, just like in our Constitution, it says that if you are 17 years, 11 months, and 29 days, you are less than 18, you are a child, and cannot determine who your local government councillor should be, who your chairman should be, who your president or governor should be. Now, you have to be 18 before you are able to take that decision. So at that point, you are no longer a child. That's what the Constitution says. That's what the Child Rights Act says. 18, below 18 is a child. But the penal code, which is what is operated in the North, the penal code says that if a girl is 14 years old or has begun to show signs of puberty maybe a little stuff on her chest, growing, or as this has begun to see a menstrual cycle. And we know what the country is like now. Or human beings now, at 8 or 9, some girls begin to experience their menstrual flow. Now, what it means is that the law, penal code says, if you are 14 or have started showing signs of puberty, that means if you are 8, if you are 9, you can be engaged in sexual relations in the name of marriage. That is tragic, and that is a contradiction to the Constitution, which is the grand norm. And as far as I know, to the point of inconsistency of any other law to the Constitution, any point at which is in conflict with the Constitution, it must be struck out, that section, and the Constitution takes precedence, being the grand norm. So why people, especially people who operate the penal code, the North has the Arewa Consultative Forum, has Northern Elders Forum, has a lot of big institutions, but they've kept quiet on this. And there is a need to address it. Otherwise, we will continue to have early child marriages, not early marriages.
Wow.
There's a difference between early marriages and child marriages.
Wow.
If you are 21, it's early marriage. If you are 13, 14, less than 18, it's child marriage. Now, what do we have? When you marry a child at that age and you say penal code allows you, Constitution forbids you, the danger in it is that you put the child in family way, a child begins to get pregnant for a child, then VVF comes in, vesicle fistula. Now when VVF comes, the child begins, the man who has married her begins to say she's smelling, she's this, she's that, and throws her away and goes for another child. Now you have destroyed a child in the name of child marriage. And we have institutions in the North, we have Arewa Consultative Forum, we have the Northern Elders Forum. They are not talking about this. They have refused in the North. They have refused to pass the Child Rights Act. They have refused to pass the VAP Act, because when the federal legislature, the National Assembly, passes that, you must now, because it's a federation, it's a federalism we're running, you must take it to the states to domesticate. Now the states are reluctant because of this. However, there is some hope in the horizon, because Kaduna State has led well in the North in this. I may not agree with Nasiru El-Rufai as governor in many cases, but he's doing a tremendous job when it comes to protecting the girl child particularly. I'll refer to the amendment of the penal code, Kaduna State version of the penal code. They amended it ingeniously in a way that you cannot marry a girl off until she's done with secondary school. In the West or in the South, let's say in the South, you will see that an average of people finishing from the secondary school is about 15, 16. In the North, it's a bit older. They finish around 17, 18, sometimes even more. So by ingeniously amending the penal code of Kaduna State, it has been able to at least reduce the vulnerability or susceptibility of children to being married off, because at this time now they will be most likely 17, 18, 19 when they are done with secondary school. So that one is a plus for Kaduna. Bauchi too is doing a lot of work in that direction. Okay. But down the corner, they are not doing it. And that's the reason we have said that we need to lead advocacy. Because I've had interaction. One of the major issues is this illiteracy around the North. Because again, even what the Malam says, they take the interpretation from the Malam. They don't read to understand even the Quran like that. But I have had interactions and advocacy with even the National Council for Supreme Islamic Affairs. In some weeks ago, we even had this interaction where they gave me 5 hadiths from Islam, 5 hadiths. One of the provisions says that if you train your child, that any man who trains his child to full maturity before he marries her out has a special place in paradise. Oh. Now, these are things that are not emphasized when Malam and co interpret for you indoctrination. So we, as Men Against Rape and Make a Difference initiative, we have worked out an agenda where we will have interactions with state governors, especially from the north, and have plenary sessions with the state houses of assembly, where we can point their minds to the fact that these early marriages is not necessarily an Islamic affair. It is misunderstood and it is abused based on the lack of understanding of people, and it is jeopardizing the future of their people, because in putting the children in family way that early, they are damaging them, not just psychologically, even medically. A child suffers VVF at age 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What becomes of her? They throw the child away. So there's so much work to be done, but we must be able to get these groups I've called to stop doing much of politics and begin to do humanity. Because if Arewa Consultative Forum with a strong voice, if the Northern Elders Forum with a strong voice will do away with 2023 agitation and concentrate on what affects our common humanity, like the issue of early child marriages, the issue of the penal code that needs to be amended, the patriarchy in our society, the issue of saying it's a man's world, has damaged us so much. It has even affected the woman. So when we do our advocacy, recruiting a pool of men committed to ending sexual and gender-based violence and giving the woman a voice, when we do that, we also reach the woman, because you've grown in the system where, watch it, if you are not deliberately intentional about what you do, if you have 2 kids, boy and girl, you will find that you are always wanting the girl in the kitchen, the boy is watching super sports, watching football. So you raise them differently, you set the marker. So the girl grows up feeling that that is it. Our mindset has been affected, and a lot of us, our generations, even the generations of our mothers and fathers, have been affected. So you work on both ways. We had a training, Kofi Annan Institute organized a training on GBV for us for 1 week, last week in Abuja.
Wow.
And during that training, I discovered that there is so much work to be done, because the actors in the GBV world were asked, look at how your name has been written by you. The certificate we want to award you. Please see if you like the way it's written, how you want your name to appear. Is it your own first name first, or your surname first, or whatever? I, as a man, my name, my only name is Lemmy. My family name is Ughebe. So I put my name first because that is my identity. My family name is secondary. But I found that more than 70% of the women that day were now changing the ordering of their name, and you will see that the person prefers to be Adama Jane instead of Jane Adama. So the psyche has been affected, that she feels that her identity is tied to the masculinity of her first surname. So the work is, yes, a lot of work with the men, because of course you know that men are the gatekeepers, the custodians of the gender orders. It's a man's world, all of that. The men are. So we need to work. Yes, the template is masculine. So we need to work with the men in order to convert them, make them born again, reset their mind, so that they will know that, look, real men don't hurt women and children. Real men actually help women and children, especially girls, to find their voice, harness their potential, and be able to sing without being caged.
Actually, I'll add my voice to this. I recently discovered that if I really want to know how gentle or reasonable a man is, I check how he treats a child or a woman, especially if she's not related to him and is not sexually attracted. Imagine an older woman standing and you walk into a bus. Would he stand up for her? Because I come to realize that men who are actually respectful to weaker people are better individuals. Now, something you said is key. I know that in Uromi, those states, there's this violence on women when their husbands die, on widows. And most of the punishments are meted by women themselves.
Harmful traditional practice.
You will see where women will beat a fellow woman, scrape her hair, and accuse her first of being the person responsible for the husband's death.
That's a topic for another day.
Yes, you know why I'm saying that? Because there's something he said that most women now reflect
the
society, you know. So thank you that you are standing against men against this. By the time you take up that war, probably find their voice. Because I've been in 1 or 2 places where we try to educate women on stuff, like educating the girl child in the north. It was not an easy battle.
All right. I think this is where we draw the curtains today. You have spoken so much, Lemmy.
We're definitely going to have Lemmy back.
Oh, no, definitely. He has to come back.
You have to have him back.
This has been very, very insightful.
Honestly.
And thank you for speaking for the victims, both men and women. Families also need to speak out. Enough of hiding what is not hideable. There are consequences for some of these things down the line, for the children you try to protect, or the marriage you try to save. My name is Mayowaoluwabiyi. Thank you for watching, and watch out for the red lines.